You're watching E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to talk a little bit more Godzilla 2014. We're going to do a little bit of a follow-up. So I saw the movie tonight for a second time. Still very, very happy with the overall movie. Once again, yes, it does have its flaws. But you know what? This movie, boy, are there a lot of butthurt people about this movie. And, you know, look, everybody's entitled to their opinion. And I think there are some people out there who are making some fair arguments as to why the movie wasn't good for them. And then I just think there's some people just looking for an opportunity to troll. So, you know, but again, like I said, it does have its flaws. It's not a perfect movie, okay? I'm not a very big fan of what Aaron Taylor Johnson did. And, you know, seeing it after a second time, I'll be fair, okay? I don't think it was necessarily his performance per se, at least not all the way through. There were some parts of his performance that I just didn't like. But I think it was just a hard act to follow with Bryan Cranston. I think that's what it comes down to. I think it was just a hard act to follow. I'm still not 100% sold with what he did, but it was good enough to get through the movie. Okay, it was good enough to get through the movie. I know there's some people out there praising him, and that's fine. I'm not an Aaron Taylor Johnson hater, to be honest. Before this movie, I've actually enjoyed everything he's done. I liked Kick-Ass. I haven't got a chance to see Kick-Ass 2 yet, but I'll be seeing that soon. I liked him in Savages. I thought he was fine in Savages. But you know. First, let's get into some parts of this movie a little bit more in detail. Now that the movie's out, everybody's seen it, and now that I've seen it a second time, you know, I did my reviews yesterday, and I was so amped up and fired up that I just was kind of going just all over the place. And well, I do appreciate. Obviously, a lot of people enjoyed the reviews, and I know I hit on some notes, but for the most part, I want to get down to some of the things that, you know, a lot of people want to know about. Well, first, let's talk Easter eggs. Now, for me, the Easter eggs that I noticed was the first Easter egg was in Ford's room with the poster of what looked like to be Godzilla. I thought that, and they didn't show the whole body of the monster he was up against. Some people say they thought it was Mothra. It looked actually like a Mutomouth, to be honest. That's what it looked like. Then the other Easter egg was indeed the Mothra word by the tank with what looked like a cocooned moth of some sort, or a cocooned bug. And some people considered the centipede that was outside the house considered that an Easter egg. I don't know where that would be an Easter egg. You know, unless you're still on the Vishnu bandwagon, which I'm sure there's a lot of upset people now. That was so the poster, the Mothra, the figurehead that was in, some people were saying water, but it was actually, I think the gasoline was filling up in the egg sac towards the end. I think that could be seen two ways. Some people are saying Ghidorah. I actually thought of Manda when I first saw it, and that was my initial reaction when I saw it. I'm like, oh, look at that, a Manda reference. Not to say that it was. I mean, it could very well be like a Ghidorah Easter egg if you want to look at it that way. But not that Manda was not the most, obviously the most popular kaiju. I mean, you saw him a couple of times in the older movies, but that for some reason that's just who I thought of first. But yeah, I think it could be Ghidorah, probably a Ghidorah reference. For the most part, those are the three Easter eggs that I saw. Not to say that those are the only ones. I'm sure there are more, but those are the three that I noticed: the poster, the Mothra by the tank, and then the figurehead at the end when the gasoline was filling up the nest. Now, as far as the movie goes, you know, one of the parts that I actually like the most. And it's funny, nobody said this, and I thought this part was a pretty big deal. And I said this yesterday. I forget who I mentioned it to, but I'm going to say it here on the video because I didn't mention it during my review. When the Admiral's planning the whole nuclear thing and trying to lure them and all that, and Serizawa begs him not to do it. Or, actually, he does beg him not to do it, but that comes later. But at this part, Serizawa hands him his stopwatch. And it's dated during the morning of Hiroshima. And he hands it to him, and the Admiral notices that. And then Serizawa walks away. And I thought that was a very, very, for me personally, that was a powerful scene because it was almost like Serizawa was telling him, you guys haven't learned. You guys haven't learned. And the Admiral even had a look on his face like he was reminded of the kind of destruction that a nuclear bomb could do. And even the captain said in the movie himself that the bomb they were going to use was megatons, not kilotons. So just leaving it off the coast of San Francisco was not going to be enough. And I think Serizawa was kind of telling him, look, you know, you're going to kill people. You've done this before. When are you guys going to learn that this is not the kind of, this weapon, this is going to kill people, cause mass destruction, and it may not even kill the monsters. So imagine that. Imagine that scenario played out. Millions of people would have died that were stuck in the city. If the monsters had survived the blast, you still have to deal with them. And now the whole place is irradiated, so it's not like you can just walk down there with your military. I mean, so I like that scene a lot. I like when he gave him the stopwatch. To me, that was a very powerful message that I think kind of flew under the radar, and I think that's one of the elements that some people missed about the story in terms of, because I'm hearing a lot of criticism about the story in and of itself, and again, it does have its flaws, but it does have its moments where I think it's very, there's some messages there. Other thing I want to touch on is it's only been 2 days, and there's a lot of people have their opinions, a lot of people are expressing themselves. One of the things I'm seeing, and this is more from the G community, is obviously it's very black and white, salt and pepper. G fans are either loving this movie or they're hating it. I think that this movie's been made for the general audience, period. Gareth Edwards even said that. I know I saw this video. I know a couple of people saw this video on the Nation Facebook page. But before he went into WonderCon, he actually was outside and was talking to some fans. And one of the fans said, are you going to make G fans proud? And he was like, I want to make everybody proud. I'm making this movie for everybody. And when you make a movie for everybody, and when you're making a movie that's a cult classic like Godzilla, you're not going to satisfy the masses. And sometimes it's all about cutting your losses. There's going to be a group of people you're going to piss off. Those people who are pissed off, I mean, this is something you should have expected. I mean, he plainly said out what this movie was about. You know, for the people out there who thought Vishnu was in it, I mean, you were constantly told that he was not in it. I'm seeing complaints of people not seeing him. And Vishnu, for just so you guys know, was not the name of the monster in that trailer. That's the name of the god in the scripture that Oppenheimer is referring to, which is a speech that Oppenheimer made way back before Godzilla even started. I understand some people are very, very upset with the tease when he first got to the airport and then the scene didn't take place. I can understand that. It didn't bother me personally, but I can understand where you're coming from. I'm not gonna. There's no way anyone could criticize how you feel about that, because when they cut away from that, I was kind of like, oh man, but not to the point, not as upset as some of you guys. But you do have, that's a fair argument. Another thing I want to address, and I'm gonna close out this video with this. There's a lot of people also complaining about how Godzilla was a hero and this and that, or how he was too good and he wasn't destructive enough. I think what Gareth did with Godzilla in this movie was probably the best thing he could ever do. The people were not important to him. In pretty much every Godzilla movie, he cared enough about humans to try and destroy them. Okay? To me, that is like, you know, acknowledging something, in my opinion, that shouldn't be acknowledged. Where in this movie, he does not regard the humans. He doesn't give a shit about the humans. Anything that happens with Godzilla in this movie that appears heroic is completely consequential. Okay, when he rises out of the ocean and the missiles catch his back before hitting the bridge, consequential. Him fighting the Mutos and appearing to save the humans, that was what he set out to do. Whether the humans were there or not is irrelevant. I think, to me, that speaks more volumes than him having a purpose of fighting the military. Like, when I hear people saying, oh, I wanted him to fight the military, we've seen that a million times. We know it's not going to work. Why waste our time watching that? We've seen that already. He doesn't even regard the humans. You know what the humans are to him in this movie? Shit. Which I like. He made Godzilla made us feel small, and maybe that's a subconscious insecure thing for some viewers. Maybe they didn't want to feel small. Maybe they wanted to feel more important. But that's where I don't understand how viewers see movies. Like, on one hand, the people who watch Transformers, for example, complain of how involved the humans are. Now you have a movie where the humans can do shit, and there's complaining. It's just like people who are complaining they don't see enough of Godzilla would be the same people who complain if they got too much of him. Sometimes, you know, and you're not going to satisfy the masses, I understand that, but I like the fact that this Godzilla does not give a shit about you. That's it. He doesn't give a shit about you. He doesn't give a shit about me. He cares about the Mutos. It just happened to benefit us. And you know what? He got up after a nice sleep, kicking some ass, went into the water, and said, all right, see you later. He didn't look back like in the older Godzilla movies. He didn't look back. He didn't look back. He didn't even bother wrecking the city. Why? That's not what he is about in this movie. He is an animal. He is going and hunting enemies. His job is done. Why am I going to waste my time? Why am I going to waste my energy on you, human? You don't mean shit. You are not important, and that's what I like. Because sometimes us humans, you know, we do think we're more important than nature, and this movie was a great message saying basically that nature doesn't give a shit about humans. Godzilla don't give a shit about you. You're not important enough for him to fight. He's looking for bigger fish, and you ain't it. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Don't forget to subscribe and join the Nation Facebook page.